Hello, everybody. My name is Dave Finale, and this is Real Estate Talk TGIF. And you all know what that stands for. If you don't know what it stands for by now, I'm going to have to remind you. It's thank God it's finale. I know it's Friday, but thank God it's finale. It works, and that's why it is. My job is to bring as much information to real estate agents as possible and to just help anybody and everybody I can. To do that, we're here at episode 48. Yep, it's been 48 weeks in a row. And we have the one, the only, and everybody always says this about me, so I got to say it about you, the man, the myth, the legend, Matt Ahlmann. Matt, how you doing today?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
I'm fine. And Matt and I met as he's a co-founder and co-owner of a company called Social NetworX, based in Rancho Cucamonga, California. Yes, that is a real place. I've been there and to their office. And he and his partner, John Reyes, work on digital marketing with real estate agents, but they've also started in the mortgage business. And Matt was a team leader, branch manager for a mortgage company out there, and took his office from not doing much to number 8 in the country over the past couple of years. And now Matt is just a team leader at Easy Funding's Home Loans. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So Matt and I are going to talk about a lot of different things, but first, I told you a little bit about it. Matt, go into a little bit detail about your story and where you came from and what you're doing now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. First of all, thanks for having me. I'm really pumped about this session, and I love the content that you're putting out. There's so much value to it. So just kind of giving you some of the cliff notes about, of course, the cliff notes about our journey. It's been an interesting one, but we've learned a ton along the way. How? Obviously, we failed a lot, so it's a good thing. And what I've always found is you don't have to necessarily reinvent. You just need to continue to reassess. And that's something we've learned between John and I. So in about 2004, 2005, my partner, John Reyes, and I, we went to high school together. So we've actually known each other longer than we haven't, if you can believe that. And so my background was in sales, mostly internal sales, like on the phones and whatnot, and customer service. And I still believe in our business today, it's one of the strongest things that you need, right? Customer service and sales skills. However, he convinced me in multiple ways to get into the lending space, right? Lo and behold, here we are. We're starting to do loans from 2005 to 2010. Really did.
Lost you for a second there, brother. You there? Matt, we lost you. Let me see if you're on. Can anybody else hear him? Let me know if you're out there, if you can hear Matt. I know we're live. So Matt's going to rehook up. Matt, are we there?
Are we back, baby?
We are back, and that may have been my fault. Sorry about that. So Matt, let's start all over. Welcome.
No problem.
This thing happens all the time, and it's just technology today. I mean, we were talking about that before we went on.
Yes, I mean, I've spoke all over the country and global and whatnot, and it's not a tech event or a tech situation unless you have tech issues. So So real quick,
so you and Johnny went to high school together, and he convinced you to go into the mortgage space. So let's go from there. Got that? You went blank again. Whoo! You and Johnny went to high school together, and you're blank again. Okay, so everybody, we're going to restart this. So everybody, just hang in there, and we'll be right back. Okay, I'm there. Okay, you there?
I am here.
Okay, so what we're going to do is I see I'm back. And let's just get ready 1 second. I think what we're going to do is we're going to start all over again. Sorry about that,
Okay,
everybody that's out there. But sometimes these things happen. So we're going to give it a shot. I'm just going to wait for, yeah, there you are. Okay. So anyway, so welcome everybody to Real Estate Talk TGIF, episode 48. My name is Dave Finale. We are starting it over. If you think you're seeing this again, it is not deja vu all over again. Technical difficulties happen all the time. My job here is to give as much value to real estate agents as possible and not just be an interviewer. I need to give more than we're getting and to get it out of my guest. My guest today is Matt Ahlmann. Matt Ahlmann started in the mortgage business, went to a digital marketing company to help real estate agents, went to being a branch manager for a real estate mortgage company, took his office from almost nothing to number 8 in the country, has gone to be a team leader for a company that you lead, I believe, called Easy Funding Home Loans in Rancho Cucamonga, California. And yes, that is a real place. So Matt, welcome for coming. Thank you for coming and welcome. And tell us about yourself and your path.
Thanks, brother. I really appreciate you having me on the show, man. It's such an honor and a pleasure. And obviously, I don't know if the viewers know, but we're actually pretty good friends. Believe it or not, East Coast to West Coast, right? Collide. So I'll tell you, just in short, started in the on the lending side in the industry in 2005. As we were meeting a ton of real estate professionals along the way, trying to bring tremendous value, the biggest thing that consistently came up was the lack of a real estate professional's understanding or maybe insight, because it was all new to them, the technology and social and how to get the message out. And so because of that, John had the foresight, John Ray is my partner, to come up with a concept, and this is social networks. And social networks is ultimately a platform where, yes, we're education first to empower those out in the industry, but it's a marketing company. So from digital resume, online presence to content creation and distribution, that's where we came in. We leveraged our knowledge in the lending field, meeting realtors, to now do the marketing for them and really put them on the map in different areas that maybe they wouldn't be in the past. But it's been a fun journey. I've learned a tremendous amount. And we went through the recession. That wasn't fun, but the trials and tribulations behind it got us to where we're at. And it's something that we're continuously, and I was saying this at the beginning when we started before, it's not about continuously reinventing. I don't think, it's my opinion, it's the reassessing, calibrating, refining, and repolishing. And that's what we continue to do every single day. And hopefully the content that we talk about today helps the viewers that are on here.
So let's talk about something. Let's hit real estate agent stuff first. And let's focus on their marketing and what you guys have done together over the years. And we met in the desert in Palm Springs, probably about 10, 12 years ago, something like that. No, even before that, I think. And probably when you were getting started and you were at a Century 21 leadership event, and that's where we met. And the interesting part is the evolution of stuff and what you've done and the following you've had. I mean, you guys are at conventions at Century 21 all the time, and you've got a packed house. No matter how big the room is, it's packed. It's because of how you do stuff, and people really focus on what you're doing. So talk about the main focus of digital marketing for real estate agents and where they can improve, even though it might be a little different, because I'm all about being different, because I think different is better. So expand on that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what's happened is Facebook is fairly still new, 2006, so is the internet. So what we've done is we continue to refine the message with not theory, but actual result-driven things that we're doing and putting in our business that we can share with others. And the feedback has been tremendous. I think in today's time, what we have to take note of, and always, is the foundational fundamentals of who we're targeting, right? So if I'm on the loan officer side, yes, I want to be consumer direct and consumer heavy, but at the same time, I could fish from different streams, right? CPAs, bookkeepers, real estate professionals, small businesses. So I think the real estate professional has it a little bit more difficult in terms of just going consumer direct. However, what I've noticed to be is we're attracted as a consumer to the reality of what's happening in today's time, right? A majority of the TV shows or online platforms that we're watching, they're reality TV shows, but kind of the miss is they're not reality, right? We think it's reality, but it's a scripted version of what we think reality is. So what I mean by that is this: anytime you're creating content, the first thing that we should start to digest or consider is what emotion do you want to elicit from the person that's going to be viewing it, right? Do you want them sad? Do you want them upset? And I don't mean upset to make them angry. I mean, do you want to challenge what the myths and the beliefs of the media are saying versus the knowledge and education that we're familiar with, because we are in this every single day, right? That's an example. Or do I want them to feel? Always I want them to feel something, because emotion is what gets us to move, a call to action, to engage. So how do we break that down in simplistic forms, right? If you think about every single prospect or transaction, I believe we need to look at milestones or micro moments throughout the transaction, meaning it doesn't always have to be video, but we need to start taking out only the good and start sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly. That's very scary, Dave, for a lot of people. They don't want to share the ugly parts because they think that's going to, disengage somebody, but it's not. It's actually going to pull them closer because they need somebody that they can trust. So by sharing these moments, example, yes, it's great when you open a contract or an offer is being accepted, but that's not enough anymore. We need to know, why was it accepted? Did you go above and beyond? What was your conversation with the listing agent? What did you do to earn the trust of the listing agent, the seller, doing like, I want the nitty gritty details. And this is where we got to stop being so half-assed, and we have to take note saying, if in music, if in an audible podcast, if in a movie, in a song, it's all storytelling. This is what we're attracted to when we talk about. Why are we not doing it in our own business?
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing that I've been talking about forever. And I talk about it I'm involved with some things in my local board and stuff. And obviously I'm on a communications committee, go figure, right? So the thing is, I says, we need to talk about these things in stories. We can't talk about, what the realtor is to the consumer. We need to get our message out there. Yeah, we do. So NAR is doing that in their own self-serving way, and we can do it too. But when you look at the listing, and this is what I tell all my students and clients, is that you've got to look at your listing presentation, number one. You got to look at what you're going to say about that listing, number two. The listing presentation basically is you're going to tell a story, number one, about yourself, and number two, the story about how you're going to take them from signing that listing to unloading their moving truck in their new home after they sold their other one. So build that story, right? And then when it comes to the listing itself, talk about the house, talk about what's going on with it, talk about if there's trials and tribulations, throw it in there. It's different. That's the thing. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with it, but at the same time, we also have to look at this. If you're not the author or the narrator, guess who is? The outsider, the consumer, the one that's getting fed a bunch of nonsense in many different platforms and different online channels in the media. So what I mean by that is this, right? If I'm not sharing what's going on through the process, which translates emotionally to comfort and trust and why they would work with me, but I'm not saying because you need to work with me. That's the difference. I'm just sharing an experience with this client and how we overcame some hurdles, right? Versus you not saying anything at all, or simply even worse, oh, I just got the new listing. That doesn't really share with me what was the motivation of the seller. I'll give you a quick example, Dave. I see all the time, there's what we call noise, right? White noise, and you could either choose to pay attention to it in our feeds or not. I choose not to, but I also use it as an example of what we need to work on. Not that it's bad, it is crap, but we need to work on it. Or, for example, I have a real estate professional, never did a video in his life. This was about 3.5 years ago. I started asking him questions. Hey, buddy, why is this mom listing with you this condo? He ends up telling me the story. Well, she's selling her condo to help her daughter buy a home up north, Northern California, her first piece of real estate, because she's going to college in Chico State. And the list goes on and on and on. But there's an emotional connection. Whether someone wants to buy or not, that's not the point. The point is, are they willing to buy into a call to action to share it so that their surrounding circle of influence might see that message? And that's what we need to consider when we're making these posts. How are we emotionally connecting, and is our message connecting specifically to the target audience that we want? And the answer most of the time is no. So what do we need to do? We need to adjust. Again, I'm going to go back to the basics. Number one, you have to ask, what emotion do I want them to feel? Meaning them who I'm going to be posting to. Instagram, Snapchat, wherever you're posting. What is that audience going to respond to, and why are they going to respond? Because I'd rather post 10 times and have 7 failures, knowing that I have 3 winners, and now I know what they respond to.
No, absolutely. And you know, it's you relate the story to that and tell that, and the way we're posting and the way we're sharing, it's got to, like you said, it's the emotion, right? And it's not only the way we're posting, it's what we're doing when we're talking to our potential clients or potential customer, to be able to show a story or to talk to them about what's important to them. Because it's not the answers we're getting, well, it's the answers we're getting to the questions that we're asking, right? So it's got a lot to do with the questions and how we get to the emotion of that client so that we can portray that listing or whatever in social media. Do you see that?
I do see that. I also see that it's a very big challenge for us to say, okay, take my hat off. And, you know, unfortunately, this is one of those things, but there are a lot of real estate professionals, at least in my local market, that do real estate and they don't own a home. So it's kind of hard for them to really understand going through the process. When I bought my first condo, I did my own loan, okay? And I was nervous out of my mind. And that's crazy because I understood loans, right? At that time. And I was new, but I'm buying my condo. So if I'm nervous understanding the process, I can only imagine what the other person on the other end who has saved all their money, they worked extra hours and make sure that they qualified properly and did taxes the right way. I mean, can you imagine? We need to try, at least attempt, to take off our work hat and put on our consumer hat and think of all the hurdles, or pay attention to them as we're going through transactions, and why people are concerned and where do we lose trust? Because that's the only way that you're going to deliver a message that's going to connect right here.
Well, you're talking about building empathy and empathizing with what they say. And sometimes some of us don't have the ability to be able to listen to me, I'm redundancy at all, to actually empathize with that person. And you're right, you've got to take the hat off. And it's a great way actually to learn empathy and to learn how to do that both personally and professionally. So let's switch gears a little bit here and just segue right into, marketing and self-promotion. I've talked about this quite a bit over the past several months, and I've gotten some people a little angry with me because I talk about ego marketing. And there's a way to do it. There's a way to post it. In my opinion, there's a way to post it where, you're not self-serving. Like I can tell you about a good friend of mine, 22-year-old agent, Oscar Nunez, right? What does he do and how does he post? He's posting it because he's making sure that everyone in his sphere of influence is a friend of his that sees his post. And there's a reason he's doing it and how he's doing it. So please talk to me about sharing wins and doing it and documenting your experience so that it makes sense and it works in your self-promotion.
Yeah, no, for sure. This is a great topic. So number one, I would say you got to share everything. You can't just share your wins, because you didn't just wake up and you're all of a sudden a rock star realtor or a loan officer and you're just a winner. It doesn't work like that. We're very competitive. We learn, we fail, and it's important to share that journey. There's people to this day, my daughter's 11 years old, and they ask all the time, man, or they'll tell me, what an amazing journey it's been to just watch your daughter grow up. And I'm like, holy smokes, man. They've literally been part of my online family watching my daughter grow up. And so why can't that be the same for our business? Now, we cannot control the outside perspective on what people think. And this is where you need to change the wiring within ourselves, when you're ready. But what I've found is that the people that believe it to be bragging, or that you're sharing too much information, usually that's something that's internal to them that's going on there. And so they're projecting that onto you. So if you are a person that's going to allow outside affirmations to control the outcome of what you do, you're already in a world of disaster. So we got to start reworking our wiring and building the mental muscle. That's number one. Number two, when we talk about wins, what does that actually mean, right? This is where I want to get into these micro moments, because a win doesn't have to be a signed contract or a closed transaction. I believe that one prospect, one relationship that's built, one transaction can actually be 7 to 8 posts, depending on where you want to do that, right? What do I mean by that? Where would you say, Dave, I mean, as a real estate professional, that you find some real big, but they're small micro moment wins throughout a transaction when you're helping a client, whether it be home inspection, going over the loan estimate? Obviously that's on the lending side, but that's important for them to move forward to an appraisal. Where do you see it? Because I think that'll be a little bit more relatable to the realtor audience.
You know, I think there's, I mean, you mentioned some of them, but I think one of the ones that we're not even talking about are the interactions you have with your, let's talk about the seller, right? The interactions you have with your seller during the process of getting the home on the market and then getting ready for showings and then so on and so forth, your interactions. I mean, that's a great story to tell and something to talk about. And then with your buyer, it's okay, well, do we want to see this house and how are you going to see it? And, oh, geez, you can't get to see this house. Let me go take a video of it. So it's the story of how you're doing it, whether you're doing it virtually or not. Those interactions you're having before you get to that closing or before you get to the negotiation, I think are really important. And it's a part of the story. Would you agree with that?
It is 100% a part of the story, but let's identify something that I think is not talked about often, but we do it by default. We share it. Testimonials are coming by all different avenues nowadays. And quite frankly, a majority of my testimonials, unless I set up going with the realtor to get that, because the buyer's agent is always the hero at the end. I don't know why, but they get to give the keys and they're the hero, right? Nobody else is there but the buyer's agent. It's the weirdest thing. But the cool thing about it is, for me, I can take my video team there and we can record it, right? It's a big task. It's a big event. Great. But what about the text message you receive on a regular basis when they're telling you, wholeheartedly how comfortable you've made them? This was the greatest decision to choose you, Dave, versus the other two people that I interviewed. Why are we not snapshotting that? Yeah, chop their name out. That's fine. But snapshotting that and telling the full story of how you got to build that rapport and relationship. These are the things to me that will change the narrative all the time, especially from the outsiders. And here's why. I know we don't want to hear this, but this is a harsh truth. I know, because some of my own friends tell me. A lot of the consumers believe, for the realtor community, they're blood-sucking vampires that don't do much. The consumer finds the home. They go see the home on an open house, and they don't need them, right? I know, and you know, that's absolutely the furthest thing away from the truth. However, if we're not sharing these little micro moments, how are people really going to understand all the work that goes into it by default and connect to it through the art of storytelling? I don't think that they will.
No, and they won't. And this is, I mean, people talk about the importance of reviews and testimonials. I believe that these things you're talking about, we've been communicating about, are more important than someone saying at the end of the transaction how great you are. Now, there's also a way, and this is another way of getting those testimonials and those reviews mid-transaction or before you even find them a house. I mean, I've worked with agents and supported their thoughts and getting them to get those reviews and testimonials during the transaction, because there's so much excitement and so much, tension, right? So it's important to do that and to share it as well.
Absolutely share it. But here's the thing. There are so many moments through a transaction that I believe there's testimonials if you pay attention to them. You can actually elicit them without asking for it as well. I'll give you a simple victory for me on what I'm working on now, right? I have a buyer, he's going through the process. We're going through the loan estimate. And I tell him, obviously, normally a lender is going to overinflate or overestimate because we don't want to give you too low and then say come in with more. We'd rather say, hey, here's where it's at and it's going to be less. And so we're talking about the appraisal. The appraisal on the loan estimate was $600. Well, we just ordered the appraisal and guess what? It was $475. That's $125, but that's a huge victory because he acknowledged it and he texted me about it. Right. That's one testimonial, but they come in different shapes and ways and forms. We just have to pay attention to them. But also, here's the other thing. Again, this is a mindset thing, in my opinion. If you're more afraid to share it than to get majority, 80% or more, congratulations, or man, that's amazing. Oh, I should work with you, Dave. Then you're already at a loss because your mindset is, oh, that's bragging. And I don't think so. Part of our business is to let other people know that you do it very well, not be the secret agent or the secret affiliate. That's not what we're in the business to do. But we always are worried, oh, is it too much business? Is it too much that? Let the demographic of your message that's delivered dictate that, and you'll know how. Lack of engagement, lack of acknowledgement, no direct messages. Some of my what looks to be the worst posts ever with little acknowledgement and likes or wow face or whatever and lack of comments, guess what? It's my greatest direct messages. So is it really working? The answer is absolutely 100% yes. We just have to continue to refine and craft our message.
Yeah, and really, when it comes to your message and what you're trying to put out there, it has a lot to do with just doing it, right? So I remember years ago, 12 years ago, whenever it was, when I first started doing videos, from other brokers and agents I knew, well, they kind of laugh at me a little bit, and to this day, I remind them of that, and they say, you know what, you were ahead of us, you did it, and that's what I try to teach my agents to do is to make sure that, hey, don't worry about the negativity, because the positivity is going to overwhelm everything else, and getting over that fear is something you have to go through. But you're right, is the things that you don't think are going to have an impact or don't have an impact are going to have more of an impact than anything else. And look, we're blessed with this thing called social media and the internet. Let's use it.
Absolutely. But, this is a big topic that, we could talk about for a long time. And it's a great mastermind that I hold a couple times a month in my office with some key real estate professionals and whatnot. But you got to remember, our quality of life, it really comes down to who you're surrounded yourself around. What are your thoughts? What kind of information are you digesting? How is your health? There's all these things that needs to be put in practice that's going to get us there. And I think if we're not focused on those types of things, it's going to elicit for us to go to our default mechanism and listen to all these outside negative responses that translates us to being negative more than positive. Once you get into the positive realm and you're more that way, right? More positivity, that's where you don't give to what's, and you start doing these things and you take action, not worrying about the response from other people. So anyways, it's a big conversation. I'm glad that we're having it, but I'm just telling you this, don't be afraid to celebrate the things that are happening behind the scenes, because there's so many victories on a daily basis. I don't care how big or small, and other people, believe it or not, they see you much differently than you see yourself. And you won't know that until you actually start sharing more, because you'll see the responses. And so I hope people keep that in mind. It's a huge lesson that I had to learn, and I learned this many years ago, but without taking the leap, of faith in myself and posting these things, I would never know. But people actually think that your life is more interesting than theirs for whatever reason. It's the most interesting thing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, brother? Okay. This has got to be the greatest tech lesson we've ever had.
Can you hear me now? Hear me? No.
Oh, we got some noise there.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
How about now?
I can hear you.
Okay, this connection here. Lost it again. You got it?
I can hear you. You sound like God.
We got a little feedback. I'm going to go ahead with it. I wanted you to talk about the relationship with the real estate agent and the loan officer working together.
Yes, it's one of those things where I think we can't assume that every real estate professional is the same. So what I mean by that is I might be interviewing for a potential partnership with a real estate agent, but I'm also interviewing them to be a partner with me as well. And that's a different outlook and perspective I have. I think a loan officer should be very understanding or aware that we are just as valuable, and if in some cases even more valuable to a real estate professional. We can't look at them as just some lead generator. It doesn't work like that. But I will tell you on the lending side, the confidence I have is understanding the important and very special data that we have. It's unique. Date of birth, social security, tax returns. It's a very intimate and invasive. One, can you hear me, Dave?
Get it? Can you?
You there, buddy?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can. You there, bud?
I am here. I'm just having some trouble with my microphone so far.
No problem. So what I was saying, we got to identify what the value is to the real estate professional. And this is going to go through a series of different questions. It can't sound like an interrogation, but I will tell you in short, you might not be great at organization. Therefore, my CRM is really going to enhance your business and follow-up. Fortune is in the follow-up, where I might talk to another gal and she's absolutely crushing it with her CRM and she doesn't need that. Maybe she needs some assistance with delivering her message in social media. Someone else might need someone that's hands-on with open houses. So I think that's number one. We got to define what is going to be the value, not what is your value. The value is not, it's what you're actually doing for that individual. It's not what the potential of doing it is. This isn't the NBA. You don't get paid on potential. You actually have to do these things, right? So that's a reality that I think a lot of people miss. And also the relationship. This is a relationship-based business. Again, how are you connecting with the agents? I mean, I'm talking to my core every single day. And guess what I'm not doing, Dave? I'm not saying, hey, Dave, what's up? Good morning. You there?
Yeah. You hear me?
Yes. Did you hear the last part?
Yes, I did. Yeah, you're coming through perfectly. I'm the one who's got the issue. But here's the thing, you know, a lot of there's always a push back and forth. I hope everybody can hear this perfectly, but you know, the real estate agent wants deals and the loan officer wants deals, and where's the relationship? I mean, you talked about that a little bit. And I know most real estate agents honestly are looking for mortgage loan officers to pay for stuff. And I think that's a big problem in our industry and how the two industries come together. You yourself said a few minutes ago that, you know, you guys are on the outside looking in more or less, which is not true, but you're just not as visible as a real estate agent. So what's the best way that you've seen and been able to build those relationships that you talked about with the real estate agent and vice versa?
Yeah, and just to talk about the outside looking in is more, I think that realtors go directly to the consumer, and so sometimes they're just so hard pressed to get that transaction, get that deal signed or whatever. But when I say outside looking in, I think we can give a lot of perspective to them from the consumer's standpoint. What I found in interviewing hundreds and hundreds of real estate professionals is there's two common things that come up, and it's not the pay for my leads thing, right? That might be down the road in the conversation, but it's the reason I'm here talking to you is because the current person or current people that I'm talking to have really started to get complacent or fail when it comes to communication, availability, and follow-up. All of that is communication. So that's the number one reason why I even get my foot in the door. And again, I even let them know up front, it's not about what I tell you. You won't know until you see the whole thing from start to finish, right, and then you feel comfortable. Right. And that's not even good enough because that could be a fluke. So you got to see it at least twice. And so we go through the conversation of how I can help them. And I'll tell you some of the things that I'm doing. But one of the acronyms that stands out to me when building relationships, period, which has really helped me along for many, many years. In fact, over a decade, one of my first mentors talked to me about, it's called Ford. Ford, like the American vehicle, right? And that's family, occupation, recreational, and dreams. And you don't need to follow it in that order. But the point is, nowhere in there am I talking about give me deals. I just want to get to know who you are, what motivates you, what drives you. How can I be a person that's like that? Oh my goodness, we have a great vibe and connection. And that, when you start to build a relationship, not that you want to make errors, but we're human beings and you're going to make errors in transactions, especially when you get busier, more errors tend to happen. They do, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. But I'll tell you, the stronger the relationship, the more forgiving the other partner is going to be. Right? So when I talk about building a relationship, I'm talking about focusing on understanding what is their family dynamic. Are they a believer? Are they a non-believer? Either way, it's okay, whatever it is. But you need to learn about the person that you're working with. And don't go have a meeting and then never follow up with them. That's one of the biggest crimes that are committed I see in our businesses. I'll come meet with you, Dave. Yeah, I'm going to email you the information. Never heard from Matt again, but it was a great cup of coffee. You know, it's like, that's insane to me.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that happens in every part of business, and especially our business, right? So, I mean, what can you share with us as the number one thing that two things I'm going to ask you. One, what's the number one thing that real estate agents can do to promote themselves in a better light on social media? And two, what can loan officers and real estate agents do together to enhance their presence as one?
Okay, so to answer question number one, as a real estate professional, I wholeheartedly believe that you need to start understanding your target demographic. So what I mean by that is, please stop friending other real estate professionals. Unless there's some hidden agenda that I don't know about, that is not your target audience, right? So for me, on my end, which is similar to your end, when I meet with a client up front and I feel that it's, we're getting past that dating situation and we could get engaged, right? I'm going to ask them straight up, hey, I need their email for disclosures. You need their email to communicate. This is how we communicate. Is this actually, Dave, is this the email that you used to sign up with Facebook? Are you on social media? I'm going to be honest, 9 out of 10 times the answer is no, that's not the email, but they are on Facebook. Oh, do you mind if I friend you there? I do some really cool updates, just to make you feel comfortable about what's going on in the market, share some of my success stories. I really want you to understand who I am, and even I share about my family. So I've started to really hone in on, for many years, gathering the data of who I want to target. That's number one. Second answer to that question is sharing what we talked about earlier. What are the micro moments happening on a day-to-day basis that brings recognition? So stop being half-assed. Don't tell me in a 1 or 2 word sentence, just listed, because nobody really cares that it was just listed. We care about, we'll go back to it, the story that drives the emotion to drive a call to action that maybe, just maybe, they'll give you a shot at working with you. You get what I'm saying? Or working with them. That's going to be the answer to that. The second question, loan officer to a real estate professional. Man, there's so many ways that we can go with this, but I do believe that co-branded videos are a very powerful thing. It just takes some time to really develop a good chemistry on camera together and delivering a great script. I see it all the time. They'll write up a great script, never practice a script, comes off a little bit robotic. How are we going to connect with somebody on that? Is it true? Is it from the heart? Is it authentic? And do you mean it? Those are the things that I think with a real estate professional and loan officer can really help with the co-branding. But you're also going to have the drawback. Some realtors don't want to be out online with just one lender, and one lender may not just want to fulfill that obligation to one realtor because they work with many. So you just got to get out of your own head. I'll tell you, expectation setting has been huge for me. If a real estate professional comes with just an email, a name, and a phone number, that doesn't cut it for me. I want more information. Do they have assets? Have you asked about credit? Like, did you build rapport before you sent them to me to build more rapport? So these are the things that I have in my conversations. And then I'll tell you, if you're a loan officer on this call, or a real estate professional for that matter, hold your loan officers accountable to making sure when you submit an offer with the DU approval, you carbon copy them when you submit the offer. Why? Because on every single offer that my agents send in, I make a call to the listing agent. Not only do I call the listing agent, I say, hey, Dave, I noticed that we just submitted an offer on this beautiful home that you have on the market, even if it's not. And I'm going to go ahead and say, do you have a lender that you want to cross-qualify my DU approval on? Because that's how strong and how much I believe in the offer that we put in with the strength of my buyer. Not many people are willing to do that because they're more afraid that the cross call is going to be stolen, right? And I'm not. I build a relationship with that loan officer too. So those are just a couple of different things that I do that helps build a relationship. And what you find is now we have a business foundational relationship, not some fake facade where you think that I'm going to make up for our relationship by paying for things. I'd love to invest in realtors, but let's build a relationship first. These are some key components of how to do that. Yeah.
That's right. One of the things I never did is I never wanted to take money from mortgage guys and loan officers because I didn't prove myself. It was really important to do that. As far as the part about the agents and stuff and how you're going to connect with them, their email address and all that other stuff, look, that's kind of marketing. It is marketing and it's free. And to do things organically will work a lot better for you than worrying about paying for ads. So I just want to, number one, I want to thank you so much for being on. I apologize for the technology problems that we're having. And it's on my side. And I know it sounds, I don't know if everybody can hear it twice or there's an echo, but I hear the echo. Anyway, Matt, closing thoughts. How do people get in touch with you if they want to have a conversation with you? And, what's next for you?
Yeah, so I don't have anything to sell today. I just hope that I provided some great value and some content. I mean, we could be talking about this for a very long time, and I'd actually love to have some continued conversations. It doesn't matter what field you're in. If you want some insight on how to connect better, look me up on Instagram or Facebook. It's Matt Ahlmann. It's Matt, M-A-T-T, last name A-H-L-M-A-N-N. Follow, direct message, connect, ask your questions. I'd love to help you and give you some more guidance. But, if you're not on the wave of the video right now, you really need to get to that point. It's 2019, okay? And it's only going to get more aggressive. And I always say this, but the greatest upside to social media is that it's absolutely free, but the greatest downside is that it's absolutely free. So some of the things that we're talking about today hopefully has triggered some light bulbs and some aha moments to say, okay, I can do this. I just need to be confident with fulfilling and following through with a commitment. And if you do that, I think what you're going to see is exactly what we're talking about. Engagement and response, or zero engagement and response, or very little, so that you know now what not to post. But storytelling is going to be key. Elicit the emotion, trigger the emotion, and stick to video. And it's only going to get more and more aggressive. So I hope that this helped, Dave. And you really know why I'm here, though, right?
Yeah. Should I tell everybody?
I think you should.
Matt contacted me a few weeks ago and said he needed one of these hats. And
it's true.
I said, okay, but you have to be on the show in order to get one of the hats. So that's why she's here. And then I said, but you are a freaking Patriots fan.
Sure.
And I know my brother who lives in Boylston, Mass. is not watching this, but he's as annoying as they come when it comes to Patriots fans. And you're right up there, Matt. But I love you, man. I love you so much. Thanks so much for being on. Stay on for a minute. And everybody, thanks so much. Matt, you can reach, he told you how to reach him. You can DM him. You can find him here on Facebook. And you can find me too as well if you want to set up a conversation to talk with me. All of my information is on my profile. I don't know why most people's information is not there as an agent. Don't be secret. Let people find you. My name is Dave Finale. This has been Real Estate Talk TGIF number 48. We'll see you next week. Can't wait. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you again, Dave.